Welcome back to another episode of The Credit Authority. Once again, I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and I am so glad that you tuned in today. We always want to thank our sponsor, so big shout out to Equity First. If you are experiencing credit and or financial challenges for yourself or for your business, consider reaching out to any one of their trained professionals. They are bilingual, nationwide, and waiting for your call. You could reach them at 631-714-4822, and it is with my absolute pleasure that I bring in our very first beauty queen. So we are in studio with Edeifo, Brittany, Aikhuele. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So I know you as Brittany. So when I refer to you at this point, it's Brittany all the way. So I am so proud of you. You just had your very first win in, I want to say, your first beauty pageant.
Yes, that's correct, actually, yeah. I went to Chicago, Illinois this past weekend, and, it was my first competition, and I was so excited because I took this very seriously. I had a pageant coach, and it was really overwhelming, and, I'm so grateful that I brought home the crown to Long Island.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey of getting involved with the pageantry and what it means to you. So let's start with the first question. There's special meaning behind this. This is not Miss New York or Miss Long Island. This is a very specific pageant that you took the title home, which is Miss Diaspora Nigeria USA.
Yeah, Miss Diaspora Nigeria.
Diaspora, okay. Yeah. I apologize. Tell us a little bit about this pageant and why it was important for you to participate.
Well, Miss Diaspora Nigeria USA, it's basically a first edition. It was the first beauty pageant that they have planned out, and the whole message behind it, their whole motto is encouraging Nigerian women to evolve. So what does that mean? So, you take a lot of these Nigerian American girls, maybe they were born in Nigeria and they come here, come to America, to a different country, and you want to see them, we want to create that community of success. We want to create that community of empowering women. So the whole point of this pageant is to empower women, and as well as encourage us to show our different cultures amongst Nigeria, because there's a lot of different tribes. So I was actually representing Miss Edo in the pageant because that's where my father is from. So the whole pageantry thing is just to encourage women to be themselves, come together, build that community, and strive for success.
So obviously getting involved in pageantry puts you a little bit out of your comfort zone. It's the first time that you're doing something for the first time. Mm-hmm. What was your biggest challenge?
Well, I definitely would have to say my biggest challenge was just the entire boot camp weekend. I have never experienced something like that. I was definitely sleep deprived. We were with each other 24/7. We didn't have a moment together. We had to practice our group routine, which was a dance that we had to perform. We had to do our catwalks in front of people, So I think my biggest challenge was overall the boot camp experience, because I definitely would say it exhausted me, and I still pushed through and, brought home the crown because I was really tired, but I was very enthusiastic, and I made sure I carried all the sections of the different categories through.
When you got involved, did you know ahead of time what your challenges were going to be? So did they prep you for what came next?
So realistically, I would say I knew what was going to be challenging was I would say that
so for example, if you are getting involved in pageantry, did you know that they were going to have you do routines? Did they expect you to walk a certain way, right? There's a certain model that goes behind pageantry. So were you, I think more or less the question is, were you prepared for what you needed to do? Going into it, did you have an idea? Did you have a talent contest? Do you have to do a walk? You need to do group dance. So were you prepared for that?
Oh, yes, for sure I was prepared, because I actually got a pageant talent coach. She was Miss Long Island. Shout out to Jasmine Williams. She was Miss Long Island 2021. So she prepped me through the entire thing. So I already knew I had to do a talent. I knew we had a group dance, but the group dance, like, you know, one of the other girls who was competing was a contestant, was the one who was sending videos. So we had to practice that in advance. But realistically, you know, we had to have the dance. Like, we all practiced the dance together because we didn't know, like, yes, you can get the video sent, but you needed to be there in person. So yeah, like, I was prepared because I had a coach. Like, I knew how to walk. I rented dance studios on Long Island. You know, I did what I had to do, you know.
How much preparation time did you have from the time that you knew that you wanted to enter to the time that, you know, you had your day in Chicago?
So this pageant was really a 90 days like program. So I really only had like 2 months, like full at best. So I had 2 months to really get down my talent. I had 2 months to practice my catwalk, get all my outfits, which were made in Nigeria. Shout out to my designers and BN designer in Nigeria, Mabala. But so like it was a short time. So it was crunch time. We didn't have that much time. Most girls, you know, competing in pageants have they take the entire year. So yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of the other ladies that you met.
Yeah, so I would definitely say some of the other ladies I met were definitely different, interesting kinds of people. One of my girls that I roommate with, she was a first runner-up. Like, she was amazing. She was just a sweetheart. But like, there was a lot of different personalities that like you really had to like, you know, prepare for. And like, I'm a people's person. I work in the mortgage industry, so I know what it takes to like talk to different people. So networking is not a problem, you know. Getting people on my good side is not a problem. So like, there's a lot of different, like, there's definitely some spicy girls, but like, that's expected. It's pageantry. It's a competition, you know.
Do you think that you're going to remain in contact with some of these ladies? Oh
yeah, for sure. Like, the top two like runner-ups like are definitely one of my closest friends that I've made so far, and like, we talk all the time. And yeah, like, I think like you're not going to be friends with everyone, you know. So it was definitely difficult after the pageant because, you know, like, some of the girls didn't come back on stage. So it was just me and like the two other girls. So like, you definitely felt that little spiciness. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm so happy I had my families and friends that supported me all the way from New York, all the way from Nigeria, everywhere, you know, on Long Island here especially. So I'm grateful for that.
You know, I was watching your journey, you know, from the time that you made the announcement. And, you know, of course I did oh my God, of course she's going to do a beauty pageant. Of course she's going to win, because that's always the big joke from when I first, you know, met you. I'm like, look at this beautiful woman over here. How do you think that this event and your win is going to help impact what you're doing in the future?
Yeah, so the whole reason why I even competed in this pageant, because I have always like had a love for philanthropy work, right? So I like work in, you know, mortgages, and I also work in I'm also we're gonna have to cut this part and do it again.
Okay.
Can you ask the question again?
What is your takeaway? What are you going to learn from this experience that will help you grow, you know, into your next chapter?
Well, like I said, the whole model of this organization is empowering Nigerian women to evolve. So already I feel that like in the future, I'm just going to fully jump into like, you know, charity work and philanthropy work. The entire reason why I even did this pageant is because of my story. And my personal story has to do, you know, with getting really sick as a kid. I went to Nigeria when I was 8 years old with my mother during Christmas, and I got infected with malaria. I came back to the States, and that's when like it was like entering my brain. I was extremely sick to the point where I remember just hallucinating. I remember feeling so sick. I remember being feverish, and like my parents were talking amongst themselves. I remember their conversations like, this girl is going to die. The issue is that the American doctors didn't have the right like training or care to get me the medication I need, right? But I was blessed enough to have an uncle, you know, who happened to train in medicine in Nigeria that was able to get the right medication to save my life. So my whole mission is that I'm very like a advocate for children's health care and access to the right medications, because at the end of the day, like, I cannot imagine what it is for like kids in Nigeria who don't have, very sick kids in Nigeria who do not have.
access to good health care.
Yeah.
I understand. With that, we are going to take a quick commercial break. We are going to be bringing back Brittany and learning a little bit more about who she is and the work that she is getting ready to do, as she has now been crowned winner of Miss I feel like I'm going to say
Diaspora Nigeria USA.
I don't know why I can't get that out. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.